Hey everyone, it's Ethan or Miist back again for another video today, and welcome back to the channel, guys. We're here again for yet another video, and today we're going to be talking about every movie I watched last week, and we've got a pretty good week for the most part, I'd say, with a few disappointing watches also, I will add. So yeah, also, I'm sure you've noticed, we got something new in the background. That's what the boxes that were in the floor here for weeks were. So we made a Billy cabinet or a Billy shelf from IKEA, and I'd say a pretty decent amount of Mel's Legos in there. She had a whole bunch of Lego at her parents' that we just never brought over when we moved here in December of last year. So finally starting to bring it over now that we have a place to put them. So that's exciting. Yeah, and we're going to put some more in there, and we're going to need another shelf as well at some point. But with that being said, let's get into the video. Let's start it off with my least favorite watch of the week, which is The Girl in the Spider's Web. Now, I really have about two themes for this week, and one of them was David Fincher, so I watched The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and I learned later that this is I think this is a prequel of that movie, so yeah, I don't know. I didn't really enjoy this movie. You can read my review. I did mention how I feel like this is one of my least favorite watches in a while, so I really didn't enjoy this movie very much. I just didn't really care for it at all, to be honest. There wasn't much to redeem, I would say, either from the movie. There wasn't much at all, really, from this movie. And to be honest, the only reason why I did watch it is because of Fede Alvarez, who is the director. And I watched Romulus this week, and I want to watch some of his movies. So, yeah, overall, not my kind of movie, I guess. But let's move on to another movie that's not really my type of movie, but that is Good Boys. And Mel has been hyping up this movie our entire relationship, and I just did not enjoy it. I ranked it a 42 out of 100. There was definitely some funny jokes, but for the most part, I didn't find this movie to be anything special. Mel forgot to rank it, so I'll get her to rank it tonight, so I'm not even sure what she's ranking it. If I had to guess, she'd probably going to rank it about a 3.5. I would imagine. She did say that it wasn't as good as she remembered, so yeah, I don't know. This is the first time I've ever seen it, and overall, I just didn't really enjoy it. Most of the comedy didn't land for me either, but yeah. Let's move on to one of the themes of this week, which is the X-Men, starting it off with the Wolverine. Yeah, I didn't enjoy this movie either. Unfortunately, again, a big theme of the X-Men, unfortunately, since I have been rewatching them, is these movies are a lot worse than I had them ranked, which is quite sad because I thought I had them all very, very high for a good reason. And the X-Men was always considered to be one of my favorite franchise, and honestly, they still are, even though these movies are not as good as I remembered. Every single movie I have watched in the X-Men upon this rewatch has gone down, which is really sad because there's two that we're going to talk about later that I've had both at 100 out of 100 that are lowering. I'm sure you can guess which two, but yeah, it's just kind of sad that this went down a lot too. I ranked this an 83 originally, and I moved it down to a 59. So it went from a 4-star to a 2.5 star. So it went down quite a big bunch. That's a big move. That's like 24 points. So yeah, it's quite a lot, unfortunately. And again, unfortunately, that's just kind of the theme for the X-Men, I've noticed. So let's move on to The Game. Like I mentioned earlier, David Fincher week. I watched a lot of his movies. I haven't finished his filmography, but I've gotten through a decent amount. So The Game, I ranked a 68 out of 100. Honestly, this movie really just confused me. I felt very lost throughout this movie, and I didn't think it was a really confusing plot. So that kind of, I don't know. It was decent, I would say. Like, it was almost good, I would say as well. The ending was good. I did enjoy the ending, but I was still really confused. And it didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. And this film is literally like the definition of it's just a prank, bro, which I think is really funny. So a 3-star for that. And then moving on, similarly to yet another David Fincher movie, a 69 out of 100. Nice for Mank. about Herman Mankiewicz, who wrote the script for Citizen Kane, which I do think is great. And overall, I didn't find this movie to be terribly interesting. But honestly, most of the points that this movie gets is on a technical aspect, because technically, I do think this movie is very special. Especially, I think it's quite a feat to make this feel like it was made in the 40s, 50s, 60s, like it is, based on 30s, 40s, I should say. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. There's some really good scenes of the dialogue throughout this movie as well. I seem to be a little bit higher on this movie than most, and I only ranked it a 3 stars, so obviously not the best movie in Fincher's filmography. But yeah, let's move on to The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. And honestly, this movie lost a lot of points after Kat died. I can't believe I had to witness that and see that. I did not want to see that on my screen at all, and that genuinely hurt me. Like physically and emotionally, that actually devastated me, and I didn't want to watch the movie after this, to be honest. I will say I did enjoy it, though. At times, there was definitely some really good points from it. This felt really long. It's like 2.5 hours almost, I believe, or I think, yeah. It felt really long. Overall, I ranked it a 74 out of 100, and it's mostly for the middle hour, I'd say, of this movie. I really enjoyed the second act, but I didn't love the first or third act, and I felt the reveal was very underwhelming, and not much of a reveal at all. So, yeah, 74 out of 100. Now let's move on to Zodiac, another David Fincher film, of course. And this is my first time watching this movie since I've actually ranked movies, which I started ranking movies ish in like the end of 2020, start of 2021. But I wasn't really too serious about it, and I did not have Letterboxd at that time. Really, I'd only started reviewing late 2021. So I watched this movie, I think in 2019 or 2020. I don't really remember. I think it might have been 2020 because I think I was home from school, and it might have been during COVID. So anyways, honestly, this really made me sad. I remembered absolutely loving this movie. I wrote in my review, if I had this ranked, I probably would have had it around like a 95, but I only thought it was great, and I barely thought it was great. I ranked it an 80 out of 100. I don't really find this is a terribly interesting thriller. There's just some good performances throughout, I would say. Man, the way I'm talking about it makes me want to lower it even more. Maybe I will. I was always on the Zodiac bandwagon, and now after rewatching it, I am not on that bandwagon. I don't think it's as special as I once thought it was. So I ranked it an 80 out of 100, and yeah, overall it just kind of felt a little disappointing at the end of the watch. So that kind of sucks. But let's move on to Alien Romulus, which I ranked an 81 out of 100. I did think this was a pretty awesome movie. A really great color palette throughout, really great cinematography, one of the best visually looking, or best visuals of the year, one of the best visually appealing movies of the year, I would say as well. Really great, and again, I wanted to watch this very badly. If I had known earlier this year when I had watched all the Alien and Predator movies that this movie was coming out, I wouldn't have watched them all then, but unfortunately I just didn't know that until after, so kind of sucks, and I didn't really want to rewatch them, but I do find that this Alien takes a lot from all of the Aliens, which I do enjoy. So yeah, really good. A great score, great music throughout as well, and really great visuals, like I mentioned. Space looked really awesome. I really enjoyed that, and that final monster was absolutely horrifying. True nightmare fuel. So let's move on to what I believe to now be top 5. So at number 5, we have X-Men First Class, which I also did lower similarly. I had this ranked at a 93 out of 100, but this one honestly barely went down. It only went down to an 88. I just don't think it deserves that 4.5 stars, so it gets that 4-star rank now. Honestly, I really, really love this movie. I thought this was a really great origin story for most of our X-Men characters, even though these aren't the ones that we're most familiar with. I really enjoyed it. Honestly, my favorite thing from this movie is just Magneto. I fucking love Magneto so very much. Michael Fassbender especially, I do think he's the better Magneto, in my opinion. And yeah, I really love this movie. Mel didn't love it, unfortunately. I was hoping she would. She didn't love it. Honestly, both of our favorite things were just how gay coded both of these characters between Magneto and Professor X were. They honestly could have been fucking on screen. I think it was wild. The chemistry they had was so good. Shout out James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender. So overall, First Class did go down, but upon rewatch, it's third of my X-Men movies, which I guess fourth. But yeah, still very, very great, I think. So let's move on to 7, which this movie kind of disappointed me a little bit as well. I expected just like perfect filmmaking, nothing wrong with it at all. And although I don't necessarily think there is anything wrong with it, again, I think technically this is a very great movie. That's kind of David Fincher. He is technically very, very talented. But I just didn't really enjoy the first half an hour to 40 minutes. I felt like it was very slow and it was a slow drag. And honestly, I kind of felt that way in Zodiac too. It was a lot slower than I remembered when I rewatched Zodiac. This is actually the first time I've ever watched 7, so that was why I think I was a little bit disappointed. Because again, I just expected like perfect 5-star, but it just doesn't reach that for me. I did rank it an 89 out of 100, so it's not like I think it's bad by any means. But most of the points come from the third act. The third act is absolutely incredible and truly special, and I really, really loved it. And of course, iconic, what's in the box? It's so good. Great ending. Yeah, I enjoyed the ending, really. That's where, again, most of the points come from. Of course, I had an idea of what the twist was, and I was right, which is sad, because this is based on a true story. But yeah, overall, I would say I did enjoy this quite a lot still, at an 89 out of 100. So let's move on to the top 3 now. And all 3 of these were a part of my top 100 out of 100. I plan on watching more this week, but Mel wasn't really willing to watch the ones that she told me she wanted to watch with me. So I'm going to have to rush through and watch them all this week now. But nonetheless, X-Men Days of Future Past, which I'm very, very sad to say I ranked a 98 out of 100, which it went down 2 points. I did have this at a 100 out of 100, and I considered it my favorite X-Men movie for years. 4 years, and unfortunately, I don't think it's a perfect movie. I do find it's a little slow at times, and ultimately, I just didn't love every second of this movie like I remembered. It has been a long time, so that kind of sucks. That kind of disappointed me a lot. I wasn't really expecting to lower this, to be honest, but the theme with all the X-Men movies, like I mentioned, every single one I've rewatched has gone down. So, again, that just kind of sucks, but yeah. Let's move on to Logan, which similarly as Days of Future Past, it also gets lowered from a 100 out of 100 to a 99 out of 100. I don't know. I know it's so nitpicky, but I just don't think it gets that 100 out of 100, honestly. I don't know. There's just something about it. It's just that, like, one little ick. I don't even know what it is, to be honest. There's just a one little ick that doesn't give it the full 100 out of 100, the perfect 100 out of 100, so I'm sorry if I'm offending you. Logan is still truly one of the best send-offs to our 2 most beloved characters, arguably, from the X-Men, of course, Patrick Stewart's Charles Xavier, and of course Hugh Jackman's stunning Wolverine. So good. Both of them put on amazing performances throughout this movie as well. And yeah, this is really just a great action thriller, I would say, with a lot of emotion. Mel and I were both crying at the end. I watched Days with Mel, of course, as well, but yeah, sad. No longer in the 100s out of 100s. When I started this, I was at 22, I believe, 100 out of 100s, and now I'm down to 18. So that's interesting. Let's move on to what is my favorite watch of the week, and one that did stay 100 out of 100, Knives Out. Not surprising this one didn't get lowered. I love this movie so fucking much, man. This movie is truly the best murder mystery ever made, and I don't know if there will ever be one that is made better. It's just truly phenomenal. And yeah, it's perfect. One of my favorite scenes ever, honestly, is also in this movie. I love the eat shit scene and the will reading. It's so funny. It's so good. Yeah, I really love this movie. So overall, we've got some movies coming up for this next week. I'm going to be finishing. I'm going to be rewatching most of my top 10, or what I think is my top 10 movies. So I'm excited. We're going to have Infinity War, Across the Spider-Verse, The Batman, which I haven't watched in like a year, which I'm so fucking excited for. It's been long overdue. And Interstellar, and I finally get to watch Interstellar and The Batman with Mel, because she's never seen either of them. And I don't think she's going to love either of them, unfortunately. They're just too long for her, and I know she's going to be bored at times, so that kind of sucks. But what can you do, right? So with that being said, my birthday is also Thursday, September 5th. So yeah, if you want to do something for my birthday, feel free to subscribe, I guess. Thanks. I'd appreciate that. I'm a little over 300 subscribers now, so I appreciate it. Thank you for everyone that does subscribe. Check out my letterbox as well. Link is in the description. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.